This is Crackdown 2 on Xbox Series X, and like the first Crackdown, this game is available entirely for free, so this is something you can just download and hop into and play and have a good time with. So in Crackdown 2 on the Series X, we're getting the original version with a bit of a boosted res to it, but still like a 720p resolution. With some sort of interesting solution for its time in order to improve some of the sharpness, which I'm not really seeing a whole lot of. It's very jaggedy around the edges, and the scale of like the worlds and the outlines of the buildings and that are quite a bit rough, and the character as well. That aside, when it comes to the frame rate, we are getting a 30 FPS, which actually does seem to be fairly solid the whole way through, despite some wild explosions that are going on, so that's kind of exciting to see, I guess, in terms of seeing all the game running smoothly all these years later. I mean, it wasn't too bad on the 1X, but this obviously cleans up all of those little elements. And yeah, we do also have the Magic of Auto Hdr, which kind of makes the cel-shaded type of visual aesthetic glow a little bit better. Especially like, you know, your boots and stuff. When you got the rocket boots, it's definitely a little bit better. And then the Agility Orb glow is kind of nice and green too. It just adds a little bit of an extra look to it that I think is quite nice to see in action. So if you're not familiar with Crackdown, it's an open world sandbox game where it's all about causing destruction and mayhem and blowing things up. So there is the core game experience where you can play it alone or with a friend, and it does offer some expanded co-op options if you want to play with additional players, which I think is kind of neat here. We accidentally brought up the old 360 guide menu there. But yeah, you can actually play it with up to 4 players online, which is kind of nice, which is an upgrade over the original game. It is kind of fun, though, just to play with one friend, which I spent time with. Though if you can jump in with others, it's also a bit of a blast if you can get a full group going and doing some of the wild things that are present within this game. You know, we got these really cool rocket boots and all these other abilities and things like that. So the main story kind of follows the city slipping into a bit of a, I don't know how you would describe it, a mutated sort of apocalypse situation, which is a bit odd. There's these creatures, you've got to deal with them. There's also obviously bad guys like you're seeing here that you have to deal with. And every one of the islands has its own sort of issue going on in it. So you can see that here with the map. There's all these different areas that you can go and visit, and all of these different objectives you can do and characters you can battle. And then on top of that, the core of the Crackdown series is about, you know, kind of gaining skills for the kills you get. So you've got all these different categories on the top left. You can see things such as like your agility or your gunfire or your driving skills. So as you perform these tasks, you actually improve your abilities in any of the particular categories, which is kind of fun. And your agent grows and gets bigger and becomes tougher, and you're more able to handle situations that arise. These are the creatures I was talking about. Lots of monsters, lots of density in that regard, and lots of conflict. So I'm playing the Keys to the City mode, so this is where things get a little bit more wild and free. You're able to essentially just go wild, have like God mode on, get all the weapons right away, unlock all the different areas of the game quickly, and jump into the action. And if you haven't seen me collecting them already, we got the Agility Orbs that act as a sort of collectible that you're able to gather while you're playing, which is kind of exciting and fun to see in action. But yeah, it's just kind of a really fun, easygoing game. Obviously, you know, I think in terms of like story, you might find that the original is a little bit better. It's a little bit of a better game, but this one's still kind of fun. It's weird. It does share basically the same world layout, which is a bit lazy. I wanted to burn these guys with the boots. It's kind of funny. But you know, they expanded things a lot, gave you a lot of new toys. They expanded the options for the extra content that was present with the multiplayer sections, and just how you were able to interact with the game, which I thought was very, very well done. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I've always liked the Crackdown games. I've always found them to be rather interesting and enticing, and them to offer a lot of unique content for you to kind of explore. Now, they do change up the city a little bit, but for the most part, it's basically like the exact same sort of situation. you know, you've got your main kind of, I guess you could say, regular people gangster area that's kind of broken down. Then you've got your industrial mobster area over here, and then you've got your premium high-end business section over there that we're going to be moving towards. Obviously with a sense of destruction and lots of enemies kind of going around here. But yeah, it's actually nice to see it really just smoothly being available, and the fact that this game is just, you know, present, and you can just jump into it. It's kind of nice. It's a good option to have, you know, just because it's such a weird game to get that kind of treatment too, because you don't see too many titles get that kind of support. So it's nice to see that this franchise did actually get some love. But yeah, I do have fairly fun memories of playing this one quite a bit, doing weird things with it, enjoying the DLC, and then I've got all these different cool costumes and stuff. I actually had an issue where my pre-order code and stuff wasn't available at EB Games on pickup for launch day, so I had to go through this whole thing in order to get a code for the game to get my outfits, and that's part of the reason why I actually hate EB Games, and I've kind of held that grudge specifically from that issue for, well, ever since then. So it's been a long time, and that's where that comes from. I don't like them as a company. Anyways, moving past that, we've got a wide range of things to blow up, and of course you could do this alone or with your pals, which is an enticing time. But yeah, they just kind of amped up the mayhem in terms of the quantity of things you have to deal with along the way, which is kind of fun. I don't know, I think it just offers a lot of cool conflict, lots of neat weapons, and ways to kind of battle these various creatures and enemies. And of course, you know, you do actually have like a regular story that you can go through, you know, that you've got that, and you've got all these extra missions, and all these objectives, things you can collect. There's so many Agility Orbs, there's so many enemies, there's so many places you can go, and things you can do. It's just kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of limited in terms of the concept of what the game is. It's about causing explosions and using different guns and smashing things and having fun with it. It really isn't anything to be taken too seriously. It's just an easygoing game, and I think it's a blast for what it provides. You know, I think in general people expect quite a lot of the Crackdown series as of recently, which is kind of funny because it never was any sort of massive game. It was just an enjoyable experience that brought, you know, lots of unique moments and action and fun times with friends or by yourself too. I do think that this one is better off if you are playing it with an actual group, but you know, you can jump into it and have a good time by yourself as well. That's for sure, as I am here absolutely mauling these guys, and it's nice to actually have a completely fluid frame rate the whole time through without any sort of real issues that I'm seeing, so that's kind of nice as well. Obviously, some of the visual elements don't perfectly hold up, but yeah, it really doesn't matter too much. It's just about the chaos that you can have, the weird things you can do, and building up your agent as you take out the different areas and you try to save what's left of the city, I guess. And of course, if you just want to have fun and you don't want to actually do the story or anything like that, because it's not really much of a story, you can just simply do Keys to the City and have all these different modes for fun action. It's just kind of available and ready to go, and I think that's kind of a little bit of the magic of Crackdown, is just you have these options to play it properly, quote unquote, where you can just go nuts and absolutely cause carnage and destruction. And of course, you gotta get those orbs and those agility points in order to improve your character along the way. That really is also part of the magic of this, is just seeing those kind of skills come in here. Dealing with the agency that's trying to increase their influence on the land, obviously. You know, it's a place of infection where things have not been going well. And then, you know, trying to fix things up, and I think there'll be some surprises story-wise and content-wise that you'll kind of witness while playing this. And just some neat moments throughout. Of course, you know, I'm just throwing the rockets in and having an easygoing time. Things can get a little bit more nuts if you head in that direction with regular weapons. There's some really challenging segments of this game, trying to get down there, because I always remember this being the place that did not specifically run well. But yeah, there was great battles down here. You just, you know, it had some fun moments to it. Really, that's the big thing, is it's Crackdown. It's easygoing, it's weird, and it's quite enjoyable. But there can be a bit of a challenge too as well if you want to actually enjoy that aspect of it. Or you could just be easygoing and fly with your rocket boots and have fun, because that's what this game is all about. The action and the fun of it. And then also seeing the sense of scale is kind of cool too, you know, the whole island and everything like that. It's just kind of, I don't know, impressive what they were able to achieve with this one in terms of like the improvements from the original Crackdown 2. I think they were able to really increase the scope of their project with it in many neat ways, and then also the gliding and stuff was kind of fun too. Yeah, you can just glide. I love this part of it. And I had a lot of fun with it, you know, the weird copters, the weird vehicles, the weird combat, and the intense action. I think it offered quite a bit, and I think it was kind of fun. And of course, you can just dive into it and check it out if you've always been curious of what Crackdown has to offer.